We come on the air this morning with breaking news out of Tallahassee. 3 people hurt during a shooting on the campus at Florida State University, and police just confirming the gunman who opened fire at a campus library is dead.
There has been a shooting in the library. Stay where you are.
Terrifying moments frozen in time. An alumnus with a gun on the loose in the FSU library.
We heard 2 shots.
Hundreds of potential victims not knowing if they would live or die.
I was scared for my life.
We're searching for answers as a community rallies to make sense of it all.
Today, we are all FSU.
Well, at this hour, the gunman is dead and 2 people are in the hospital, one of them in critical condition.
We're taking action for you tonight with complete team coverage of this tragedy, from how students are doing on campus tonight to how their family in the Bay Area are dealing with this news.
But we begin with our Carson Chambers. She's live tonight in Tallahassee, where she just spoke with investigators about this case. Carson?
And they are just releasing key pieces of information that talk about why may have done this, why he might have carried out this shooting. Also, we're getting new information about the timeline, how the shooting actually unfolded. Now, lead investigators say that May actually parked his car a few blocks away from the library and walked over there. He was carrying a .380 semi-automatic handgun. His pockets were filled with ammunition. Now, police say May started shooting outside of the library, hitting 2 FSU students. Then he entered the lobby, where they say he shot an FSU staff member and tried to shoot another person. Well, he never made it past that point. And then as he exited the lobby of that library, 6 police officers engaged him. 5 FSU police officers, 1 Tallahassee police officer. They say he would not drop his weapon, and that is when they shot and killed him. 30 rounds fired. That includes the suspect and police. We also know that they have seized a journal and cell phone videos where May talks about being, quote, targeted.
We've just gotten the documents and things. He referred to government targeting. It was very general in nature. Like I said, we've just conducted a preliminary review.
We're learning more about that shooter tonight. His name is Myron May. He graduated from Florida State in 2005. He then received his law degree from Texas Tech in 2009. He had been working as a lawyer in Texas and New Mexico before recently returning to Florida.
We just got our hands on a police incident report involving May and a woman claiming to be his ex-girlfriend of more than a year. Within that report, clues into May's state of mind in the weeks just before today's shooting. Our Ashley Glass has been poring over the pages. She joins us live now in the studio. Ashley?
And Linda, good evening to you. It's detailed here in this report. Happened just last month in Las Cruces, New Mexico. The report lays out May's alleged bizarre behavior October 7th. Police say they were called to a woman's house. A woman claiming to be May's ex of 15 months. She told police that May had just showed up unannounced at her home. He'd recently developed a severe mental disorder, was diagnosed with ADHD, and had been using prescription meds. That woman went on to tell police May had gotten really bad in recent days, had just quit his job as an attorney, and had been staying awake for days on end.
Students tonight are still trying to make sense of why this happened, and at this very minute, survivors are rallying for a vigil on campus. Our Ashley Yore is live tonight at that vigil. And Ashley, what's the mood out there right now?
Hundreds of students are gathered out here right now. You can see they're all getting ready for this vigil about to start. I've seen students hugging one another, comforting one another, and all the students I spoke with earlier are still in disbelief that this even happened. Students still in shock after they were stuck in Strozier Library with a shooter.
I was scared for my life, and I was scared that it ends like here in my freshman year of college.
The heart-stopping minutes during that shooting playing out across the state today. People with loved ones on campus just waiting and hoping to hear the best. Our Chris Trankman spoke with 2 Bay Area families who have kids at Florida State. And Chris, this had to be a nerve-wracking situation for them.
Absolutely, Jameson. On a weeknight where 300 students were gathered to study in a place where it's normally quiet and safe, for the 2 parents I talked to, making contact with their kids today couldn't have come fast enough.
Man, my knees got so weak, I thought, this is not happening, you know? It just sickened me.
Irene Taylor's son is a senior at Florida State studying business. She frantically tried getting a hold of the 22-year-old after the shootings.
I'm blowing his phone up. I'm sending texts. Where are you?
Chaos on campus.
There has been a shooting in the library.
A gunman injures 3 people at Florida State.
People left their MacBooks, their backpacks, their phones, threw everything and just started running to the back of the library.
Right now at 6, how students are coping and what we're learning about the man who pulled the trigger. Good evening. I'm Brendan McLaughlin.
And I'm Wendy Ryan. Thanks for joining us. Students huddled in fear, using overturned tables as a makeshift barricade to block a second-floor door in the library. Another student, Jason Durfus, credited a backpack filled with books for blocking one of the gunman's bullets and saving his life. He says he was just feet away from the shooter, and only later did he realize how close he came to getting shot.
2 of the books that I had checked out had a bullet hole in them. I know God's looking out for me, and there's really no other explanation for it.
We're also learning more about the suspected gunman. Our Jacqueline Inglés gaining exclusive access tonight into the cottage he was living in right before he went to Florida State. Our Jacqueline joins us now with what she found.
I'm here in Weewahitchka, a town that's 90 miles southwest of Tallahassee. Behind me here is the guest house Myron May was last living in. Family friends who live on this property told me they last saw him Saturday night, and on Sunday, he left for Florida State to see some friends.
I don't think anybody that knows Myron would tell you that they expected this from him.
He's an FSU grad, a lawyer, and now tonight, Tallahassee police are naming Myron May as the gunman who wounded 3 students in an overnight shooting at his alma mater, for he was shot and killed by officers on the steps of the campus library.
Disbelief, heartbreak. Just shock. We were all in shock.
Graduating in 2005, May went on to study law at Texas Tech. Before returning to the Florida Panhandle, May worked in Houston and New Mexico. Just last month, a former girlfriend filed a complaint against May with the Las Cruces Police Department. Friends say he was having financial trouble, and up until the shooting, May lived in this guest house here at the Hitchcock home of nationally renowned charity worker David Totten and his wife Abigail. He moved here just 3 weeks ago. Inside, there were still boxes, the bedroom in disarray, and a pill bottle half full of hydroxyzine, a drug commonly used to treat anxiety and nervousness.
We had no indication of it, none.
At this point, police say they're still trying to figure out why May drove 90 miles and opened fire on students. His social media accounts offering very few clues, which is full of biblical verses. May's last posting on November 18th came shortly before 8 p.m. He quoted a verse from the book of Matthew, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven."
Myron was a good boy, a good man. Something went terribly wrong, and I don't know what that was.
Tonight, students at Florida State are gathering for a vigil to show their support for the victims of the shooting. Our Ashley Orr is there and joins us with a look at the mood on campus right now. Ashley.
The amount of solidarity and just the camaraderie out here this evening, simply amazing. Check out just wrapped up about 10 minutes ago, and you can see about 1,000 students out here who were just all banded together. I saw so many hugs. I saw this outpouring of support, people really trying to take a positive spin on these really frightening events that happened overnight. Now, I spoke with one student who was in the library when this all happened, and he said he didn't even take it seriously at first.
My reality was checked in really fast when I see a group of 10 or more people just screaming and running, terror in their eyes, and at that point I was like, holy crap, this isn't a joke.
Surprise deliveries. We're uncovering new details tonight about mysterious packages sent out by a gunman before opening fire on students at FSU.
Tonight, students standing united as the shooter's uncle speaks exclusively to ABC Action News.
He wasn't a monster.
Only ABC Action News is taking you inside the shooter's home, revealing new clues that could help explain what would drive him to want to kill.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Wendy Ryan.
And I'm Jameson Euler. We're getting new exclusive developments just into the newsroom from our team of reporters in Tallahassee tonight. Let's get right to it. Right now, police alerting friends of Myron May that he sent out 8 packages through the mail before shooting 3 people at the FSU campus library early this morning. Investigators are still unclear about what's inside those packages and are asking those 8 people to call them as soon as they're delivered.
And just minutes ago, police releasing this picture of one of the victims. Grad student Nathan Scott works at the library and was wounded in the leg when that shooting started. Police telling us he's one of 2 students shot at the Strozier Library who remain in the hospital at this hour. The 3rd victim was grazed in the leg and immediately released on scene. And we have live team coverage tonight. Our Jacqueline and Glace just speaking exclusively with Myron May's uncle a short time ago about his state of mind days before the shooting.
But first, we begin with Carson Chambers on the campus at FSU tonight, where students just wrapped up a vigil moments ago. Carson?
And students found comfort in a small auditorium just steps away from where we are outside the FSU library tonight. It was a vigil where they prayed for understanding.
I just pray that you would just overwhelm those just struggling right now with peace, God.
If there is such a thing as the sound of healing, it might have been the low hum of voices in an FSU auditorium. Or maybe healing doesn't make a sound at all. Prayer, quiet or spoken.
And I just want to thank you for all the lives that were spared.
It's the way some Florida State students are trying to make sense.
Even though things seem to be so bad at the moment, that you have a plan for everything.
Cope with what happened.
A lot of times in situations like this, the first question, a reasonable question, I think, is why would God allow something like this?
Tonight, the family of the gunman, Myron May, now revealing new insight about him, saying there was no indication he was planning something so tragic. Our Jacqueline and Glace joins us live in Tallahassee with that exclusive interview tonight. Jacqueline?
Almost 24 hours ago, just beyond this crime scene tape, here on the steps of this library, Myron May took his last breaths, and tonight his uncle is opening up about the Thanksgiving plans they had. But instead of coming together for dinner next week, May's family will be coming together for a very different reason: his funeral.
He was going to get together with me and cook Thanksgiving dinner.
Preparing Thanksgiving dinner with his nephew Myron Mays is a memory Wallace Freeman won't be making. Instead, he's planning the 31-year-old's burial.
His mother's birthday was yesterday, so I know it's a heartbreaker to her.
Freeman last saw his nephew on Saturday. He spent the night before returning to this guest house family friends were letting him live in 6 miles away in Weewahitchka. He would leave the very next day to visit friends at FSU.
It's a shock because he was quiet.
May moved back to the Florida Panhandle just 3 weeks ago after living in Houston and New Mexico, where trouble found the lawyer just last month.
He saw a guy with a gun at his apartment.
Then there was this, a police report filed with the Las Cruces Police Department by his ex-girlfriend, claiming May was harassing her and recently developed a severe mental disorder, believing police were bugging his home and even putting cameras in his car. When ABC Action News gained exclusive access to May's cottage, we found this, a half-full bottle of hydroxyzine, a drug commonly used to treat anxiety and nervousness.
He wasn't a monster. He was nice, sweet young man.
His friends told us he was also having financial issues. Here he is on a camping trip earlier this month studying for the Florida bar. Now tonight, while his family is thankful May did not kill anyone, they're struggling to answer why he opened fire and wounded 3 innocent people at his alma mater.
We don't know what went down, but we're in shock because he was no kind of person like that.
Some students at Florida State University took a deep breath as they walked back inside the campus library today after 3 people were shot there yesterday. Our Carson Chambers was there as they showed the country their resilience.
Classes resume today, and the Strozier Library is pretty busy tonight, a sure sign that FSU students are moving forward together. It wasn't easy to walk back through these doors.
It's definitely got some emotions, but I think it's important to kind of
move past it, and that's why I was here like right when we opened.
FSU students sent the country a message today. They're not going to let the acts of a lone gunman take away their sense of security. Students relieved to see plenty of police officers in the same lobby where Myron May opened fire a little more than 24 hours ago. FSU President John Thrasher met the long line of students as they reopened the library.
I just want to let them know that we care about them and that we're behind them, and we're going to work hard to make sure that they're safe.
One painful reminder, the plywood that's still up over the front doors here where bullets tore through the glass.